Okay, gentlemen, are we all ready to go?
Yes, but I'm not excited about it.
Now, why is that, Donald?
Oh, you know why. I've heard your takes on waifus, the both of you, and they're always garbage.
Jesus Christ, are you still mad about Natsuki being trash?
She is not trash. She is a complex character with perhaps the most relatable hardships in all of Doki Doki Literature Club.
All right, I'm cutting you off before you even get started. We're not talking about Doki Doki today. We're ranking Katawa Shoujo characters, but not just the main girls. Every character that's visually shown, at least.
You know what? That might make it tolerable, Barack. Let's go.
Okay, so let's start with an easy one. I think I can speak for all of us when I say that Emmy is a really solid character, but I think she is outshone by some of the other characters in the game, even the side characters sometimes. If she was in another game, I think she might be S tier, but for this, I think that B tier is a good place for her.
Gonna have to push back, Barack. While I agree she's not the best character in the game, I think B tier is a little too low for me. She's an inspirational character to so many people for a good reason. The fact that she's doing the things she's not supposed to be able to do because she can is incredible, not to mention that. Let's be real. Her route is the only one where Hisao lives past 40, and it's all because of her.
I can't believe I'm saying it, but he's right. Emmy has the capacity to be funny and dramatic, depending on the circumstances she's in, which some of the other characters simply do not have, not even some of the main girls. She deserves A tier.
You bring up some valid points, but to be fair, I think her arc about thinking Hisao is a white knight is kind of cringe, especially since it seems like at the end she gives in and lets nice guy TM Hisao win. Seems like it was affirming 2012 4chan incels.
What the fuck?
Sorry, but that's a bunch of horseradish. First of all, the problem isn't that Hisao is a white knight. It's that Emmy has severe hang-ups about allowing people into her life after those she loved were taken away from her, since she knows that that could happen again suddenly, at any moment. Hisao himself has a heart condition, and because of that, he's honestly more likely to die before her anyway. Her willingness to let him in and love him is a powerful statement about her character growth.
What he said.
Fair enough. It seems that I've been outvoted, so I will concede. Next up, Rin.
F tier.
S tier. I'm sorry, Donald. Did you say F tier?
Here we go.
I'm not surprised you liked Rin so much, Sleepy Joe. I bet you had Jill read her route to you as a bedtime story.
Ha ha, Donald. But you're an idiot if you think Rin is anything less than S tier. Which makes sense. A simpleton like you wouldn't have the capacity to understand Rin's character. Her struggles with her artistic vision and artist's block, the pressure she feels from not just Nomiya to paint, and her autistic-coded inability to understand and be understood by everyone else in her life, including Hisao, is genius.
Boring, sad, cringe. Why would I ever give an S tier to someone who is so goddamn annoying to talk to? Hisao even talks about how angry he is at her during the route for this, and he's never been more right. The resolution of all of her endings are mid as hell, specifically because there's barely any resolution, and you don't even date her at the end of her good route. Also, Dandere is the worst trope in anime, and it deserves to be buried for good.
Oh my God, Barack, please talk some sense into this man.
Yeah, that's cap, Donald. I get that her route may not be the most exciting to you, but Rin is probably the most complex character out of all the main girls. The issue you have with her isn't that she's boring, it's that getting to know her is actually difficult because she has so many layers. And while she isn't hiding anything from you really, she's not relatable either, but being unrelatable is not necessarily a flaw, and it isn't in Rin's case. And the good thing is, Rin's route is usually not played first because of how unlikely it is to get compared to other routes, so by that time you should be primed for a more challenging experience.
If I wanted a challenging experience, I would be playing Long Live the Queen.
Skill issue.
My man really said skill issue about a fucking visual novel.
She's going into S tier, and that's final.
Rigged.
Anyway, next we have Lily.
Look, it's our first S tier. I'll take it from here. Lily is an absolute 10, and so is her route. The way she helps Hisao feel like a part of the school from the moment he talks to her is so heartwarming, and she really does try her best at making everyone feel comfortable around her. Lily would be your best friend in the whole school without even trying. When it seems like she's leaving, everyone is upset, including Shizune, and fences are finally mended between them. Hisao almost dies trying to get her to come back, and honestly, I'd do the same.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Lily is great, but I don't know if that makes her S tier on the spot. The fact that almost everyone likes her makes her seem a little too perfect, you know? Almost sussy, if I had to say.
If your argument is that she's too perfect, it's not a good argument.
I do have to agree with Joe here. Lily is a good character, and I wouldn't say she lacks depth. But other characters feel much more textured and interesting. And because you don't immediately understand them, it makes it much more satisfying when you finally come to a resolution. With Lily, all you have to do is be honest with her and you're good. I'm going to put her at A tier. How do we feel about Hanako?
About a 4, but honestly, her root makes up for it, so I'm okay with giving her a C tier.
What kind of doo-doo garbage are you spewing out your goddamn mouth? Hanako is adorable and deserves at least A tier, if not S tier.
Yeah, we're not putting Hanako in C tier, although I think the way she was handled could have been better and excludes her from S tier. The fact that she's adorable is part of the problem. If she was truly burned so severely that she needed help from Yamaku, I feel like that should come across as more than just some red scars on an otherwise untouched body.
You would know a lot about burn victims, Obama, with all the drone strikes you did.
I seem to recall you were on track to surpass me in those before you stopped reporting the data.
But you're right. It seems like she's only in Yamaku for her anxiety, but they don't even let people in for exclusively mental illnesses. So what gives? Typical millennial, taking spots better suited for other, more deserving people just because your feelies are hurt.
I can't believe this. You're both insane. Hanako's scars are from many years ago, and it's entirely possible that the scars would have healed with proper surgery and therapy over that time to look fairly normal. Yamaku absolutely is the perfect place for Hanako, since a regular school would not be able to accommodate her need for space away from the classroom so often, and whatever medical needs she has could also be provided by the school. This seems to be a witch hunt to find nitpicks and plot holes about her inclusion rather than find anything truly bad about her.
Elmau witch hunt.
You know what, Joe? I think you're right. I'll put her in A tier.
I think we have a lot of A tiers. Are we really okay with that?
It's okay. We're ranking the main girls first, so that's just going to happen. It'll even out by the end. How do we feel about Shizune?
S tier.
S tier.
Wow, that's unexpected. Donald, I wouldn't expect you to like Shizune. Why do you think S tier?
Well, I just think that even though Shizune has kind of a rough exterior, when you go to her home and meet her father and family, you realize that she has a lot to live up to and a lot to prove. Plus, her personality really sets her apart from the other characters since there's no one else like her in the game.
Donald, I think it's kind of an understatement when you say she has a rough exterior. She wonders why no one else is joining the student council, and it's all because they don't want their contributions to be overruled by a dictatorial president. If she would just lay off a little, she would be much happier, but she can't. And throughout the end, it doesn't feel like that changes too much either. Her route only has one choice, and it's whether or not you cheat on her, which is the least complicated shit in the game.
Hey, I had trouble with that. It says comfort Misha in the decision, not fuck her.
I do think she gets a bad rap, though, so I think B tier.
That's such bullshit.
Oh, come on, let's be real. The only reason you like her is because you're a sub and she ties you up in her root.
What? That's not, I'm not a sub.
Stormy Daniels would beg to differ. Joe, you said S tier as well. Any thoughts?
Dommy mommy wrapped me up like a birthday present.
B tier, and moving on, I think Misha is A or S tier. What about you?
She looks like an SJW and is a 5, but I know if George were here, he'd say S, so I'll say A as well.
Honestly, I'd go S tier on this one. Her inclusion as a lesbian struggling with loving her best friend who is happily dating her other friend is the real emotional core of Shizune's root in the latter half.
That's kind of true. I'm going to put her in S, actually. Let's move on to Kenji.
Solid A tier choice. He was always right about those goddamn feminists. He is based and red-pilled.
Okay, you're just joking right now. So, Joe, give me a serious take.
A tier.
What?
Hear me out. He's an egg.
A what?
An egg. Like a trans woman who hasn't realized that she is one yet.
Are you hearing this shit, Barack?
Wait, let him cook.
Kenji's constant tirades against feminists is classic egg behavior. He is angry about his perceived failure to live up to masculinity or his lack of happiness performing it, so he takes all of his anger out on feminists instead. Kenji is meant to represent the average 4chan dweeb of the time, which had a largely disproportionate amount of them leave the site and transition once they realized who they wanted to be. A classic case of the incel to transfemme pipeline, if I've ever seen one.
You pulled that straight out of your ass.
No, Joe is on some galaxy brain shit, but I think that can't promote him to A tier. That isn't in the game itself and probably wasn't the intention, so we can't count it. And in reality, he's mostly a meme. I will put him at B tier, though, because he kills Hisao in his root.
Fair enough.
Hisao?
D tier.
Yeah, Protag-kun is kind of weak at best in all visual novels, but Hisao's not excused because of that. He's kind of a dick and self-pitying at the beginning, too.
D tier it is. Iwanako?
Epitome of C tier.
Yeah, you can't really blame her for leaving Hisao after he became so despondent, but she doesn't do anything too unique. Nice that she sent a letter, though.
Oh, here's a shout. Aoi.
Who the hell even is this?
Yeah, I don't blame you for forgetting her, Sleepy Joe. Who is she?
She's one of the girls who takes over the student council after Shizune and Misha graduate. Since she's so forgettable, let's put her in F tier, and let's put Keiko and the shopkeeper there for the same reason.
Put Suzu in there while you're at it.
What? Why? I like her design.
Of course you would, Sleepy Joe.
While I do think it's honestly kind of BS to put a character with no lines anywhere but F tier, I do like her design, and as a favor to Joe, I'll put her in C tier.
The Democrats are sticking together again, I see.
How about Mickey?
God, if she had her own route, she would be S tier, but she doesn't get much focus, so B tier.
I agree. I think she's cool.
How civilized? How about the nurse?
Nurse is the only reason Hisao is still alive, and he's helping everyone in Yamaku all by his goddamn self, and he does it while also being hilarious. He deserves an S tier for video game nurses, but here he's a solid A.
What the fuck? He doesn't even have a name.
I'm with the Donster on this one. For some of these side characters, you can't judge on complexity, just on vibes.
And with the nurse, the vibes are immaculate.
I have a feeling Mutu's going in C tier. How about you guys?
Yeah, nothing amazing, but nothing bad either, really.
I could care less.
It's I couldn't care less, Donald.
Jesus fucking Christ, Sleepy Joe. If you ever say that shit to me again, I'm gonna leave this call so fucking fast.
Easy, Donald. Joe, don't be a bitch, and let's move on to Yuko.
If we're going off vibes for her, she's a borderline S tier.
She's a 5 and an annoying librarian, so it makes sense that you like her, but that doesn't make her anything higher than a D tier.
Malarkey.
I have to agree that is some malarkey. She's not S tier by any means, but I like her just enough to put her in A tier.
You are not putting that trash higher than you put Shizune.
Cope, seethe mad. Are you mad? Are you crying? Cry, cry, cry more.
How about Emmy's mom?
Oh my God, absolutely a 10. How did the nurse pull her?
More like, how did she pull him? He's an 11.
On God. But to be fair, she doesn't appeal to me much. She's a good mom and she's hot, but she's not Dommy Mommy material.
Don't make me hate agreeing with you. She's a C tier, I think.
A little low for me, but I'm not going to fight it.
L take, L take. I want the comments to eviscerate this motherfucker.
After her is Nomiya, and I think we can all agree that this dude is F tier.
Yeah, Nomiya is a cunt.
F tier for sure, but for say, put her in D tier because at least she lets you smoke in her attic.
Your brain's so big with that take, Donald.
Hideaki is next, but honestly, I don't think much of him either way.
He needs to listen to his father more.
I don't know, on one hand, he is a good character because his presence makes Shizune much more understandable, since both she and Hideaki both don't conform to their father's standards, but other than that, he's kind of mid. Let's say C tier.
Jigoro?
Absolute #1 goated gigachad of the entire game. If Hisao just coughed up and bought his fucking book, he might learn how to be at least a crumb of the manly man Jigoro is.
This is pathetic.
Yeah, I kind of just asked to be nice, but no shot is this guy any higher than D tier, to be honest.
Oh, what the hell? This is the least cool shit. This list sucks ass.
Oh, don't worry. We're ending on a high note.
Oh, I just noticed the last one, and yeah, if any of you motherfuckers say Akira is less than S tier, I am done.
No complaints here. S tier is where she belongs, always standing up for her sister and you. And even though she is protective of her, she only really encourages you to use protection. If there's a gigachad in this game, it's Akira. She tried her best to keep Lily in Japan for as long as she could too, until her parents gave her no choice. And in Lily's good end, she takes the time to bring her boyfriend home to Scotland too, even though her parents want her home sooner.
No side character can compete. Let's be real. Easiest S tier of my life.
So Donald, how did you feel? Are you alive? Was this as excruciating as you thought it would be?
Well, the list is a disgrace, and none of my S tier choices were picked except Akira. But I did have fun, and I'm glad this game brought us together again like this. I love spending time with you guys.
I feel the same way, Donald. I'm glad we could share this together.
Ditto, brochocho.
Well, Melania just texted me that my chicken nuggies are ready, so I'm going to have to head out. See you guys.
I'm a head out too. Later.
See ya, boys.